Shut up and sit down.
Hughenden has a long white history dating back to first settlement in 1863. With its abundant local grasses, it was primarily founded as a sheep and cattle area. There are large volcanic outcrops, and the Flinders River drains a good deal of the sand and pebbles northwest to the Gulf. Today, much of the town relies upon the through traffic from the caravan towing 4x4s to survive. After visiting Emerald, I imagine many of these rural towns were functioning as service centres for all the surrounding farmers. But the upper Flinders River region is far too marginal for any intensive farming or crop irrigation. The only successful rural businesses around here are large-scale cattle farms who probably don't even have a station hand on site all year round and only show up every now and again to muster the cattle. Hewetten's current claim to fame is as a member of the Dinosaur Trail, but even that is tenuous. At the Flinders Discovery Centre they have a replica of the Matbarasaurus, named after the town in which it was initially found. I wandered through the town and noticed that the only surviving businesses were focused on supporting travellers or working with the Shire Council. It's a dying town with many for sale signs and little opportunity for growth. Maybe we can get Elon to practice his plans for terraforming Mars and try making Hewetten's volcanic sandy soils fertile. About the only thing remotely close to Hughenden is Porcupine Gorge. It's a very unique geographical feature for the Australian landscape, even though the sandstone cliff face is very reminiscent of the cliffs at Jamieson Valley near Katoomba. It's interesting to see that further up the gorge is a very volcanic area, but the cross-section presented by the gorge does not have a volcanic layer. I wanted to fly the drone through the gorge Anakin Skywalker style, but if anything happened to it, it would have been a 10-kilometre dirt road to a campsite, followed by a 2-kilometre walk through the bottom of the gorge to get it. Heading out from Cairns and up through the Atherton Tablelands to Ravenshoe, for the last time I had the pleasure of tackling the Kennedy Highway up to Mareeba. I'm sure that many truck drivers hate this road, but on the weekends they take out their Harley for a cruise and appreciate it much more. Then off to the green fields of the Atherton Tablelands. You can see the clouds and the fog into the distance. And again I ran into one of my pet hates of Queensland, that while the roads are fairly free from potholes, they only have one lane in each direction, and they expect you to gamble with your life each time you're overtaking the oncoming traffic. Making my way through the Tablelands to Ravenshoe was quite cold and wet, but nothing like what I'd expect. If you travelled from Penrith to Katoomba, which is only about half the distance, and at greater elevation than the Tablelands, and it is nothing like the change in environment you get from going from Cairns to Atherton. Ravenshoe claims to be Queensland's highest town, which was all green paddocks full of fat cows and more sugar cane. I tried finding a quiet side street to get a bird's eye view with the drone while riding through, but there was a quarry just down the road and there were numerous large trucks passing by. I did however finally find out why so many old microwave ovens are sitting outside of farmers' homes, and it has nothing to do with having a meth cook inside. Then off down the Kennedy Development Road to the Linda Oasis Roadhouse, where the landscape changes to a grassland savanna. The Roadhouse is renowned for having Australia's smallest bar, but honestly, being 250 kilometres from anywhere, you would only be encouraging people to drink and drive. After the Roadhouse came the dreaded dirt road. I learned to jump onto the dirt slowly so I can gauge the quality of the road before coming back up to speed. I'm still apprehensive about driving on the dirt. With such little grip on the road is far worse than riding in the rain. But trying to wheelie over the potholes is not always doable, as you can't always see them, but it's a better tactic than trying to swerve to avoid them. At this point, I should consider myself a lucky guy, since I haven't yet had to deal with both a dirt road and rain at the same time. And I should also thank my lucky stars that they've reduced the amount of dirt on the Kennedy Development Road to about 20 kilometres. Although, if I was doing this trip in a couple of years' time, I might not have had any dirt so far, except that may have encouraged me to go all the way to Cape York. And the unfenced paddocks up here are another thing. As I start seeing cow manure on the road, it's as much an ominous warning as dirty bitumen on the oncoming side. But the sports exhaust does come in handy to frighten away all the animals. Hughenden is too small of a town for anyone to host Airbnb, so I'm staying in a country hotel that's run by country people. The place looks to have been built in the 70s all out of asbestos. The manager seems to have hired mostly all female staff. I don't want to complain, as she looks to have taken pity on me staying in an entire week, and has given me a larger room with 2 double beds and 2 tables and chairs, although the 70s fridge doesn't work. So the milk went off and I'm just waiting for the margarine and the cheese to spoil. I'm finding that they purposely make it difficult to bring your own food, forcing you to buy dinner at the restaurant, which is something I hadn't experienced in Airbnb. Then while wallowing in my own self-pity, thinking that I'm having a bad day, I looked out the window and saw an elderly couple in their 80s from southern New South Wales who showed up on a urinal after riding all day in the rain from Colcurry. I'm still seeing numerous dumped cars on the side of the road, and it does worry me that if I break down, then it's going to have a difficult time getting the bike back to civilization. I'm trying to get the bike serviced in Darwin and it's becoming problematic, as they haven't responded to my email in over a week and I haven't got a phone connection at the moment. I've done about 5,000 kilometres since getting the bike serviced at the Sunshine Coast, and the front tyre is about halfway through. I don't think that the 120 tyre is going to get me much past the 10,000 mark, but that should be enough to get me to Perth. I think only Telstra is functioning up here. I brought Starlink just for the communication problems that I was likely going to face, and I'm only surviving by pinching the Wi-Fi from outside the public bar. For some reason the VoIP is not connecting either. I can buy a prepaid Telstra SIM from the shop around the corner, but I can only really call out, as everyone would have my old number. I guess that I'm just going to have to spend a week sitting outside a pub in the cold and wet weather. There are some things in Queensland that I just can't understand, like why would one side of a rail crossing have a giveaway sign and the other have a stop sign? For what reason would anyone install a trapezoidal window? I mean, the mind boggles. Did they order it for a different job and it not fit, so they gave it to them for free? Hughenden is a town for night layovers by travellers on their way crossing the top end, and I did enjoy the opportunity to meet some of my fellow big lappers. It was once a town where people believed it could be profitable, but with poor soils and inconsistent rainfall, there's not much else here than the services targeted at the caravan crowd. I mean, it's a town where it's difficult to determine the rich area from the poor. I still have stereotypes of the old Western movies where these country hotels would have some guy playing the piano and prostitutes hanging from the second floor landing. But the women here just look at you with a longing question in their eye. Are you that guy who's going to take me out of here? Next stop is Mount Isa, a town 10 times larger than Hughenden and supports both major supermarkets. It should be an easy trip with a couple of stops for food and fuel. I think I could have done Hughenden in a couple of days, but zooming through was never part of the experience that I was trying to achieve with this trip. So please remember to like this video, as YouTube will think that you're a fake viewer if you don't. Thanks for following my adventures around Australia, and remember to go out there and do something to enjoy your day.